All right, welcome to another episode of Palmetto Playbook. We've got some really exciting stuff going on today, but first, and only because his team beat mine, I want to bring somebody that we talk about all the time on this show, and that is our meteorologist, Maddie B. Maddie B, he's walking right now. All right, take a seat, Maddie. So, Maddie B, we've talked about you a lot. We've talked about
Hopefully good things.
We'll cut anything that's bad, right? No, I'm kidding. All good things. We talked about Coastal during your season, or during the Coastal football season, how your cousin played on the team.
He got snap in, Alex
He
Walker.
did.
Yes.
Snap in.
We've also talked about our ongoing rival, as you are an all-thing Carolinas fan.
Always. I mean, Charlotte FC, Carolina Hurricanes, Carolina Panthers. Sad to say, as a Charlotte Hornets fan. Oh, I know. I have not seen the brighter days.
No,
But loyalty.
Loyalty
is key.
That's got to count for something. But
Well, I'm also a Pittsburgh Pirates fan for baseball. I don't like
What?
winning.
you really don't, eh?
You're a Paul Skeens fan, though.
But honestly, the Canes only give me life.
Oh. Okay.
Which is why I brought him to here today, because the Canes did beat my Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah.
And they really pulled us down from the rankings because of that loss. I mean, for what, 2 days, Washington was number
I'm
one?
telling you, Mika was holding us down. I'm telling you, we're playing so much better with hustle. I love to see it. I'm still kind of salty about Mika. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
He was really upset on Monday.
Yeah, he
Very
was.
upset.
Absolutely. And you know what? He was really upset when when the Four Nations tournament got won by the Team Canada.
Well, as I say, Hellebuck's just average. I know you think he's the best goaltender because he plays for the Jets, but we should have played Swayman the second time.
And I can
said
just hear that our producer, Ashley, in the booth just clapping because she is a Swayman super fan. Well, I mean, she's a Bruins fan, of course. Well, Maddie B, this was your moment to brag. Anything else you want to brag about real quick?
No, my teams, they all lost. So, I'm excited the Canes are having a winning season. Future's looking bright. Got some couple first-round picks. Other than that, excited for baseball season. See what the Pirates do. Maybe we'll go 500. That's all I want. I don't care about championships. Just have me a winning season, and I'm happy. That's all I care
All right. Well, you know what? When your teams start winning some more, hey, come playoffs for hockey. Maybe we'll get you back on.
All right, let me know. I'm going to get out of here.
Good seeing you, Maddie B.
Thanks for coming.
Also, if you didn't recognize, this is not Tegan Brown. This is
sorry.
the very mysterious Mary Margaret Allyson. We've talked about you for so many episodes.
I'm finally here.
You are finally here.
Took a
Welcome.
minute. Took a minute.
It did. But all good things. What is it? The wait is worth it, or all good things come. I don't know, but she's worth it.
Aw, thank you. That's so nice.
We're so excited. You are not just new to the podcast, but you're new to WMBF.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Was it this year or December?
December.
December. Okay, so
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
Mary Margaret joined us, and you have a decent journey already. You've been doing sports coverage for a while.
I have. Yeah. Almost 3 years. So yeah.
Take us through that journey. Well,
From-
first of all, sorry, I should clarify. She is our first South Carolinian host for this podcast.
Wow.
So we have street cred now.
Insert claps.
Insert claps. Okay, sorry. You're from South Carolina. I really need to get that out there.
Yes.
Now tell us about your journey.
Oh gosh, the sports journey. Do you want me to go from college? Or want me to go from actual career?
Did you enjoy college?
I did enjoy
Yeah,
college.
go ahead. Start us there.
I went to North Greenville University, if you know where that is. It
assuming
is
it's
in
in
North
Greenville.
Greenville.
Fair
But yeah, I'm from a small town outside of Greenville. You have to go through easily to get to Clemson, and that's the only way people ever know where I am from.
Oh.
Yeah. But I went to North Greenville, small private school, Division II. Only thing we have to our name is a World Series in Division II baseball.
Okay.
So I will take that. They're number one right now still, so that's all we're really good
That's still pretty
at.
impressive.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. But anyway, graduated in 2022. Yeah.
So you were a pandemic kid.
Kinda. Yeah.
But you lived
It was my
through-
sophomore year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yeah. At home.
And then
Just
where did
hanging
you
out.
go after you graduated?
I moved to Louisiana in a small market called Alexandria.
Okay.
I did not want to move to Louisiana because I was like, I don't want to move 14 hours away from my family. But we did that, took a chance, loved it, covered LSU for almost 3 years, and got to cover Jaden Daniels, Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, Angel Reese,
That's some like
Haley Van Lith,
heavy
Kim
hitters.
Mulkey. So it was fun. It was fun. And then my contract ended in May. Got married in June. Worked at Fox Carolina in Greenville for a little bit, covering Clemson and like Furman and different like kind of mid-major schools too. And then now got the call from the previous news director and was like, hey, do you want to come here? And I was like, sure.
Which is so funny because you guys just swapped spots because now
We
he's up in
did. We
Greenville.
did swap spots.
That's awesome. I mean, hey, you've been doing this for what, 3 years? You just said, and you've covered LSU, Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we'll throw CCU in there now
Well,
too.
yeah.
Like, that's some good stuff. Remind me later to show you that I have a pair of LSU Heelys at my desk.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
At my desk, no less. That's the only thing that I ever really knew about LSU before I moved here.
That's okay. I was not an LSU fan. Never will be. But it was fun to cover them.
Fighting words.
Because of Clemson losing the national championship in 2019 to LSU.
There you go.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And now you still get to cover some of your former Louisiana teams that you used
Yeah.
to work with. We'll talk about that later too when we
Okay.
talk about CCU.
Yes.
Okay, so led you here. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you. How nice.
Through the show or through the episodes that we've had so far, we've all talked about our favorite teams, our favorite sports. You don't need to know Tegan for very long to know she's a Bills fan.
Yes.
She went to Syracuse, so she's a Syracuse college.
And she's like
anything
low-key
fan.
Alabama somehow because of her dad.
Yeah, and then also she's a Boston Red Sox fan.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Really threw me for a loop.
And
there.
not a Yankees fan
Right, 'cause
or a
she's
Mets fan or
she's
something.
A Yankee.
Yeah.
In a nice way. I don't want to get canceled for that. All right, so and you just heard that Matty B, a Carolina
Yeah.
boy through and through, has pledged his allegiance to every terrible Carolina team.
Yes. Well, since Matt is from North Carolina, he can pick those teams. Well, being from South Carolina, it's really hard to pick a team because no one's really here.
Fair. But it honestly
And
gives you just fair game to
that
claim
is true.
anybody.
That is true. But my dad and I don't pick anyone because the Panthers, sorry Panthers fans, have not really been that good.
You can say
Also-
the Panthers suck. It's fine.
Well, Bryce Young, still love ya. But and then the Falcons, it's kind of hard to be a Falcons fan, so we're just kind of neutral, and we watch the NFL together all the time. But we'll just do fantasy and talk about fantasy. But other than that, no NFL teams.
You really have not a single one?
It's hard to be like a South Carolinian. You just don't really.
Could I pitch to you to join my allegiance? Actually,
the 49ers?
Yeah, Kyle over there is
my
also
gosh.
a 49ers
Oh,
fan.
I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, he's from California, so
I should have known.
that makes more sense than
that
me.
makes sense. Okay.
Would you like to join? We'll let you. She's gonna think about
I'll
that
think about
and
it.
say no.
I'll get back with you.
That's
on that
interesting.
one.
So you actually just watch football and be like
Yeah, but when it comes to college, it gets a little
intense.
Yeah, because I am a diehard, born and raised Clemson fan. I have went to countless Clemson games since I was a little girl. My dad always had tickets. We sat as far as the first row to the suite to the anything, and it was just the most fun time ever. And I know nothing but to be a Clemson fan until I met my husband.
Oh no.
And he is a diehard South Carolina fan.
No.
Yeah.
That's grounds for divorce.
It really
I'm kidding,
is.
Corey. Just a heads up.
No, we just don't talk about sports that much if it involves Clemson and South Carolina because we just get really irritated and then an argument starts and we just can't do it.
How did that slip through the cracks?
Well, yeah, it's
feel like
it's very unfortunate. But my cousin went to South Carolina. My other cousin went to Clemson. My mom went to South Carolina. My dad went to Clemson. It's just
It runs in the blood.
Yeah. So half my family is South Carolina fans, half are Clemson fans, and it's just
My husband
my
doesn't
mom
watch
doesn't
sports,
care.
so I don't have this issue.
Wow,
I
that's
know.
nice.
I took him to his very first hockey. I've taken him to his first hockey game, his first baseball game.
Wow.
I know.
Huh.
Really, we don't
That's
have any.
very surprising.
I know. I mean, he's born and raised in Hawaii. They don't have
That
those
is
kind
true.
of sports.
That
so.
is true. But anyway, well,
Yeah.
okay, so
Die
going
hard
with
Clemson.
yes, but also so Clemson women's basketball has not been good for a very long time, and they're on the rise. Thank you, Sean Poppy, as the first year head coach of the Clemson Tigers. But so he's put them on the rise, but Clemson women's basketball has not been good for a very long time. So I ended up going with UConn.
Okay.
So of course I know that was bandwagon, but I was in 5th grade, so I was like, oh my God, Brianna Stewart, they're winning. So
I only think it's bandwagon if you jump off it immediately. But if you say,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? It's time for a refresh. I'm picking this team and
Yeah.
I'm sticking with this team. That's fine. I don't care. If anyone says that's bandwagon, come at me.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So I played basketball from second grade to my junior year of high school. My dad played basketball, so I just kind of followed in his footsteps. Have some injuries. Now I have to wear knee braces like a grandma.
No.
But yeah, so it's okay. Whatever. It's okay. So
It's okay. It
it's
was
all
not okay.
good. Yeah, and so UConn. And then for men's basketball, Clemson was on and off until a few years ago. So I picked Gonzaga.
Okay.
Okay. Corey, I'm sorry. You know this story. So Kevin Pangos used to be the point guard for Gonzaga. And so, looking for a new team because Clemson wasn't that good. Of course, I was still supporting them, but I needed a winning team. And so decided to pick Mark Few and Kevin Pangos because I loved him. He was beautiful and wonderful. And I was like, I'm going to pick Gonzaga. And then, they never let me down until a few years ago, and then they're not doing so hot right now, so we need to figure things out.
Yeah, they've had a little bit of a slide. Yeah, that's fair.
But other than that, Clemson football through and through. Trevor Lawrence, love you forever. I know you're not doing so well in the NFL, but I don't care. I love him.
He's got great hair.
He does have good hair. He does.
I love that. That was a great journey, honestly.
Kind of all over the place, but it's okay.
So when it came to moving to South Carolina, and everybody has a South Carolina team that they love.
Yes.
Like it's a real big thing. I mean, in our station alone, like there's a lot of Gamecocks fans here.
Which is unfortunate.
I think you're the first Clemson fan, I want to say.
Boo.
Like
It's okay.
maybe.
Wow.
But I think if you rewind 3 or 4 episodes, I did pledge my allegiance to Clemson.
Wow.
Yeah, but as a South
Congrats.
Carolina thing,
Yeah.
Because I went to a college that football wasn't king, so it would be weird to be like, oh my gosh, I'm a UND football fan because we're not even the same league.
Well, I mean, even in FCS, y'all are really good.
Yeah, we're decent. You might be confusing us for the Bison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, they're really good.
They're really good. Okay.
We're decent.
Oh,
we're
okay.
middle of the pack.
Okay.
Yeah. But we're a great hockey team, so
That's all that matters for
when
you.
you're from the north, it doesn't matter otherwise.
But say with hockey, we don't
We've
have
won-
that much going on in South Carolina with hockey.
We've won national championships. I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
We
have the they're called the Swamp Rabbits. It's the minor league team.
Greenville,
Yeah,
Swamp Rabbits.
yeah.
No, I'm familiar. A friend of mine used to work at a station near Greenville or in Greenville or whatever, and they covered the Swamp Rabbits.
Yeah. I've been to a few games. Corey just likes to go for the fights, and that's about it.
Oh, honestly, if there's not a hockey fight during the game, if you're in attendance, you better get your money back. Yeah. It's just so much more fun, and I get it. They're like, oh, but violence is not the answer. It is when you're on the ice.
I know. I need to get more into hockey. I need to do that for you and Matt because, it just has never been a big thing for some reason.
Well, I mean, when you're born and raised in South Carolina and you don't have a hockey rink here, I mean,
true.
What are you gonna do?
The coastal hockey players. I'm like, oh, I feel,
right?
That's
You're
so
I
sad.
want to be
you.
your fan, but it's also a little too far.
Yeah, a little too far, but it's okay.
If they were still playing Wilmington, I feel like they'd have.
Yeah.
But
it's okay.
We're so excited to have you on the show now, though. So if anyone is keeping tabs, Tegan is gone this week, but she will be back next week. And Mary Margaret is replacing Ian Klein, who
Ian
just had
a baby.
Yes, that is why he let us know he was leaving the show because he's now in full dad mode.
So cute. Low key, I miss him.
I do miss him already, and it's only been.
It hasn't even been a whole week.
4 days.
Yeah.
So Ian, we miss
missed you.
But I'm actually really excited about your replacement, so I'm not even mad.
Oof.
Let's jump into it. Let's jump into the reason we're here. Let's talk about some coastal Carolina sports.
Okay.
You've been on weekends, so if anyone watches our weekend show, you should. Mary Margaret is working tirelessly all day on the weekends to make sure she gets to as many events as possible so she can bring you guys highlights.
I try. I do. But I also can't sit still, so I got to go to as many things as possible.
Fair. I remember one time I'd asked you if you were coming to book club, and you said, I actually have 4 games to go to. Sorry. And that's valid.
Oops. Hey, but also crossover season, a lot of people don't like. I love crossover season. You got basketball, or it's football, basketball, softball, baseball, all, and yeah.
Yeah,
crossover
nobody's
season.
complaining about that. Everyone wants you there.
Yeah.
But if you do complain that she's not at enough things, think about that next time because she's only one person.
Thank you.
But speaking of seasons, one has come to an end, at least for now. We've talked about Coastal Carolina women's basketball.
Yes. I'm a big women's basketball fan, not just because I played it, but like they deserve the recognition. And I know that Coastal did not have a very good reputation basketball-wise because of not having a winning record or whatever. And coming into here, I was like, all right, well, they didn't have a winning season for a while. Like, it's not that great. And then I saw the girls that he brought in, and I was like, oh, this is like, there's no way they're not going to be over 500 or have a historic year because of the talent. So
yeah, absolutely. And so they unfortunately lost in the semis of the Sun Belt Championship against JMU.
Which I was hoping they weren't. I didn't think they were going to play them, but then they ended up playing them because they lost in the regular season, but they lost by like 20 here, and I was like, gosh. And then they only lost by a few points at JMU, so I was like, if they can lose just by a few points at JMU and then go to Pensacola and, pull off the upset, then yeah, but it kind of fell apart.
Wasn't in the cards for them. And then I believe one of their top scorers got ejected like really early on.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they had a chance after that.
Like the replay, like the JMU girl like fell, and then she fell on top of her, and the JMU girl like pushed her, and then she pushed her back, and then she got ejected, but the other girl didn't. And I was like, yeah. So I was like, what?
Controversy.
And then it was just sad because like Coastal played Arkansas State, like one of the last games of the regular season, beat them by a lot, and they were the number 2 ranked team in the Sun Belt, and then Arkansas State comes in and beats JMU in this championship in overtime to go to the NCAA tournament. So I was like, oh man. And I was like, if they can beat them, Coastal could play Yeah.
No, I get it. It's like you lost against somebody who then lost against somebody you won against, and it just doesn't feel right, and I get that. Even though they lost, obviously not ideal, they still had a pretty historic season, considering they ended 23-8, which was, the first
time in like 4 years? Like
the
4-ish?
2019 season or something. And it would be the first pretty good season for Pedersen.
Yeah, it's like I think it's his 3rd year, and then obviously with the transfer portal, we'll talk about it at some point, you said. But you never know truly what your team is going to look like, because one of the teams that I covered in Louisiana is called Northwestern State. They had an amazing team the first year that I covered them. And the coach ended up leaving and going to Austin Peay, his alma mater, and took all the guys with him. So, of course, it was a rebuilding era. And then they hired a coach from a JUCO that had never been, D1 truly inside of being a head coach at that level. And so he brought in all these guys, and it was a disaster. And he was like, I don't understand. And he had a guy from he played in the Canadian League during the summer, and he was really, really good. But then he had surgery on his leg, couldn't play, and then they were relying on him. And so I was like, well, that's an example of how he was like, we're the example of the transfer portal not working. But then this year, everything clicked because the guy was back too. But so you never know how it's truly going to be. Coastal men's basketball had a lot of transfers come in. Justin Gray in his first year as head coach, you never know how it's going to really pan out, and it didn't go as well for them as it did with Coach P. But the talent level, I didn't know that Savannah Brooks was that good. And then Kristen Williams comes onto the scene, and she started making 3 after 3 after 3, because they were like, if she just gets hot, just keep doing it. Yeah. And she had 6-7 threes in one game, and they ended up just really relying on her, and she did really well the whole season. And I was like, wow, okay.
But you mentioned something to me, so we chit-chat obviously before the podcast, and you mentioned to me that Pedersen kind of has an interesting tactic to how he handles his bench.
Yes. So I have never seen a coach truly play almost his entire bench every single game. So when I first started going to Coastal games, I was like, God, he's subbing 5 and 5 and 5 and 5, and I'm like, you don't see that a lot. And his freshmen were getting
good
valuable minutes. And one of the sophomores, she was in the post game press conference, and I'm like, she went off in the quarterfinal game, and I'm like, you don't see that a lot, especially in a mid-major type of program. And I know I heard it, I think it was on the James Madison broadcast, and it was they write down how many minutes and how many valuable minutes did I play, what did I do, why do I deserve to be in at this many minutes, or and I was like, that's kind of a good tactic, because even he said that one of their like Mallory Bruce usually starts, and she didn't start in that quarterfinal game, and he was like, but no one was really mad about it, because most people were like, why am I not starting this game? This could be my last game. And he said that the whole team just had good vibes, and he was like, I've never had a locker room actually like really love each other and like want someone to succeed so much that it's okay if you take my starting position. And I was like, that's like not, it's kind of unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely unheard of. I would have never guessed when you told me that was, especially because you said, like, we're talking valuable minutes, right? We're talking a semifinal against a team that you have in the past struggled to beat, and rather than say, well, these are my star scorers, so logic says if I play them, we win.
Yeah.
But instead, he said, well, it's working, and it has all season to work to play your bench, and so we're going to do that and keep doing that, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, then it's not the method's fault necessarily.
Yeah. I think they also like said throughout the season they were playing like with a chip on their shoulder because the Sun Belt ranked them in the preseason as number 9, and they were like, what, like, we have all this talent, like, let me just show you. And they ended up doing really well and finishing, I think, like in their net like 2nd, and then overall like 4th. So
yeah. And we have, I mean, you've covered this in your sportscast a couple times, but we have some audio from Pedersen, and he talks about having all those players, bringing them in from the transfer portal, and how it worked, even though it shouldn't have.
Yeah, or like Mallory Bruce came from like UNC Asheville, and she talked about how like she's never had a team like this. She's never had this many, like, she had the minutes, but it was just like she really didn't flourish the way she did here. And then I know she's not coming back, and then Savannah Brooks is coming back, and then she was like, yeah, my team was not like this at all, and then she ends up being the leading scorer for pretty much the whole season. And then Kristen Williams, the same thing. I think she came from Massachusetts, maybe? I can't remember. But yeah, and like you never think how many people, like, you're starting 5, you never know if they're going to gel or not, and they were like perfect.
Yeah, well, we're going to listen to some sound from Coach Pedersen about the transfer portal and how it worked in his favor this year.
It's just been special. I mean, like I said, we're so proud of this group that we brought in. They get along really well. They love each other. They fight together. You never have to worry about a tight-knit group. You never have to worry about those type of things, and that's a gift for a coach.
Like, coming from different programs and stuff like that, it's hard to put a team together like this and to be able to go as long as we did and to be able to be as high as we were. I mean, yeah, we were ranked 9th preseason. I'm glad we got to prove some people wrong and really climb to the top and show people what we're capable of and who we are. And I think we're going to be high on people's radars for the next year.
Well, that was Pedersen. And speaking of transfer portals and NIL, I feel like we bring this up every episode because it's always going to be something that's important to bring up because it's always changing, or the thoughts of it or consequences necessarily of it are always changing too. I want to say either earlier this week or late last week, Shane Beamer actually was in DC to talk about the benefits that he has seen with the transfer portal and with the NIL, but also he spoke about the importance of regulation as well.
Yeah.
Tegan and I have gone off on multiple occasions about how we feel about the transfer portal. What are your thoughts?
I don't have a problem with the transfer portal if you're doing it for the right reason. Of course, being a Clemson fan, I know Dabo Swinney is not a big fan of the transfer portal. We did get a few guys this coming year from the transfer portal, and that's the first time he's used it. Because he knows, he's like, yeah, we are going to be, just as good as everybody else getting our guys from high school, which I'm not like saying that's a bad thing, but sometimes you have to fill those positions, and a freshman is not like a true freshman is not going to be able to do it. Which I know, like, Brian Wesco was a really, really good receiver, true freshman. That is a perfect example of, not having to use the transfer portal, but sometimes you have to, especially going into this year when a lot of our defensive players are going into the draft. So I'm like, you have to use it at some point.
Yeah.
So if you're doing it for the right reason and not going like from school to school to school to school.
And I think that's the issue that a lot of people take with it. Like, I've gone on record to say that I don't like the transfer portal because of that.
Yeah. Because
there's no limitation to it. And it's just gotten to a point where I feel like it shows lack of commitment, to just keep hopping around.
Yeah. It also like defeats the purpose, I feel like, of bowl games in general, because like everybody's hopping into that portal and you don't really have anyone like say just like Coastal. Like not half, like a lot of their players are in the transfer portal trying to look for, you know, another opportunity higher up, and it's just not going to happen. Like you're going to have to settle for another like a FCS team because like you might not succeed as well, or like there are some examples that have done, like at Northwestern State that I used to cover. Like there's this guy named Javon Antonio. He was a great receiver, and he was like, you know what, I have 1 year left, I might as well transfer to Colorado. Had a great year.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a perfect example. But
I think it's tough, like also sport dependent, I guess, because you transfer, and I feel like there has to be like not a cooling off period, but like a period of time where you have to like work on blending with the team, right? So if you're consistently transferring to different teams and you're playing football that only plays what, 10 games a year?
yeah.
How are you?
If you're lucky.
Yeah, if you're lucky. Like, how are you getting that? How are you getting that kind of connection with a team that you're not even there long enough to connect with sometimes?
Yeah.
Whereas when you're talking about like baseball, where you're playing a ton of games a year, I feel like it happens quicker, right? You're more likely to find your balance.
I just know the transfer, like Corey and I were talking about how the transfer portal affects football a lot more than it does like basketball and baseball. Because like with basketball, you do obviously have the transfer portal, but you don't hear it as much because of these solid teams. Like you have your Duke, you have your Clemson, or like I know that Clemson has a player, Jaden Zachary came from Duke, but like he did really well. So of course it's not like, oh my gosh, like you just transferred here because you weren't playing at Duke or whatever. But for baseball, I feel like you don't hear it as much. I know Coastal has a few like JUCO players and a few players who have transferred in, but
football is where you hear it the most. 100%. I mean, also because football is king in South Carolina. Now that I live here, I feel like I hear it a lot.
Yeah.
But I also just think that it's just more utilized. And
yeah, like a perfect example is like Juice Wells used to be at South Carolina, and then he transferred to Ole Miss because he was like, I want to be part of a winning program, because obviously South Carolina wasn't doing as well. And he goes to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss was not doing as well, and you know everybody was getting mad, like, winning program, what? And yeah.
Maybe you're the problem. If you keep transferring and the program,
yeah, maybe you are the problem. But I know that like the NIL stuff, and like every school has a different budget, and like Ole Miss has an insane budget, so they're having all these guys come in. Obviously not like say they guarantee them playing time for this amount of money, and it's just like insane because it's changed the landscape of college sports. And even my dad and I were talking about it. Like he was like, I don't even really watch college football as much as I used to because they're truly not even applying themselves anymore. They're just there for the money.
Yeah. And like there is like it's a double-edged sword for NIL, where like obviously some kids need the money, so they're always going to chase where they can get it. But at the same time, just like you said, like then it's just, if the motivation is solely just about the money, why are you playing?
Yeah. Because
you're taking a seat away from, or a spot away from somebody who's really dedicated and may not look at the money as the perk. The perk is being able to play for a program like Ole Miss or someone else who's got good big money, like Gamecocks or Clemson, or I guess CCU is actually up there with NIL now that they're getting more
like you have your
collectives.
Alabama, you have your Georgia, you have...
Thank you. I literally could not think of Georgia. I could not think of Bama.
Okay.
It was just over my head for a second.
It's all right. Like even I know Florida has a big budget, and like...
Florida has a big budget for everything on that campus.
Yeah, so it's like, it just depends. Like even, like I know Oregon has a lot of guys that come there and they actually were really good, but sometimes you just go to a program that's not even that good just for the money.
Yeah, I guess that makes them good eventually. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we kind of worked our way from basketball down to football, but we're coming back.
Yeah.
Now let's go. We're still in CCU football, but we're talking a little bit different because the season schedule for 2025 has come out, and they've got some interesting. Like they're starting with Virginia.
Yeah.
You're not going to be at that game, are you?
No, I think I'm going to the Clemson LSU game, so
I'll
take that because covering LSU, and then Clemson being my pride and joy, I was like, oof. And my my previous sports director, diehard LSU fan, so it was definitely tough sometimes to work with him. He was like 2026, or 2025, I got you. And I'm like, you're actually coming to Clemson. You're coming to Death Valley, and you're coming to this game. And he was like, wouldn't miss it.
So there you go, a little reunion you didn't know you needed.
Yeah.
But some good games. And then they also play South Carolina near the end of the season, too.
Yeah, which is going to be very interesting. Obviously, I know that a lot of people are like, money game, but, like, you never know how it's actually going to be.
Honestly, if they won, I would get a Chanticleer
Lenora
tattoo.
Sellers? What?
Beating
What?
Lenora Sellers?
No.
Dang, he's going to get brought up a couple times in this episode.
He is.
Well, that's a tease.
I will say,
catch you later on that one.
A hater of Gamecock everything, I have become a little soft for Lenora Sellers. Yeah.
That's fair. That's
His little glasses. Yeah.
I feel like this is, so I've only been here for, it'll be 3 years in August, and that was one of the first names in high school football that I covered, that I consistently remembered.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like, I'm now hitting that point in my career with WMBF that I'm like, oh, I'm getting to see these kids grow.
Yeah.
And so that's been nice. That's like my little.
But now you feel old because you're like, oh my God, I covered them as like
high school
a sophomore
kids.
in high school, and now you're like, oh my gosh.
Now he's in commercials for Gamecocks. Yeah, no, it's crazy. But before the season, on April 5th, CCU's doing a showcase, spring showcase, which is a new.
Because I know they haven't really done spring games. I'm a big fan of spring games just to see what's going on, like what we got to pick from. I know there's going to be a quarterback battle like usual. I love me some QB battles just to see what's going on. But then sometimes it gets annoying because you're like, oh my God, like who's honestly like taking the spot? We're waiting until game day. So.
It will be interesting though because we have seen the struggle of the QBs with CCU and losing Vasco and really just having to kind of rebuild that spot, right?
And I know he has a few guys like coming in and like you truly never know what you have. And I know spring practice started last week. We haven't been able to go yet. So kind of ask about that because I really want to see like what's going on. You have so many new guys and you got to figure out why they actually came here. Because obviously talk about the NIL thing, you don't even know I don't know how much Coastal's budget is. How are you truly bringing these guys in? Is it because they're coming with their coordinators? Because I know that obviously there's a lot of coaching positions that have changed. So normally, you just kind of follow the coach and see what happens.
I mean, that's fair. And if you want, you'll be able to see because media.
So will you.
I mean, I will too, but like this specific spring showcase, you'll also be able to see as the public because it's open, it's free to the public. It's a spring practice, but it also has a lot of fun, like little
cute
events.
Little thing,
It's family friendly. They're gonna have autograph sessions and meet and greets.
See, that's sweet. So
it is nice, but you also get like as somebody who may be new to the program and realize that like CCU does have a pretty deep fan base where they will support these players, but they also really like to meet them, and you're kind of getting to meet your community that you're fighting for. So it's really nice. And I heard there is going to be a movie. I heard it might be Disney of some sort.
Oh, I heard it was,
Is it? I have no idea what it is. It wasn't confirmed. I'm not going to say it.
Wasn't confirmed.
Because I don't want to get in trouble.
But if you're at the beach and it's a movie, all you can think about is Moana or something.
But anyways, it's going to be a fun event. It starts at 5 o'clock on April 5th following the CCU baseball game. So,
and I was like, oh my God, hopefully I can go to that. But also, Stephen Schlink, shout out. We've been talking about Darlington forever. And I love me some Darlington. And so does my dad. And my papa has been there multiple times. And I was just like, I have to be there.
That whole sentence was very South Carolinian of you. You
I'm
said,
so sorry.
I love Darlington. I love the Raceway. I love my papa.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was beautiful. Oh, wait, is it
Thank
that
you.
weekend then? That's what I was
Yes,
going for.
it's that weekend. And he was like, what happened to our team coverage? And I was like, Steven, it's okay. We got this.
I'll go to...
Plus it's 75 years of Darlington.
That is exciting. That's no offense to CCU, but that is way more interesting than CCU.
Yeah.
I'll go for you to the spring game. You can go to NASCAR. I'm still trying to learn, so...
Yeah, well, I mean, I was never really a big NASCAR person. Sorry, get off topic.
No.
But my dad...
Derail the conversation
I'm so
however
sorry.
you please.
But my dad used to watch NASCAR every Sunday, and he would fall asleep, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I'd watch it with him, and then I was, like, obsessed with Kyle Busch because I know it's horrible decision now, but he was the M&M car, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever when I was like 12.
Honestly, as a 31-year-old adult, I forgot what was her name. As a 31-year-old adult who's never watched NASCAR, that's probably how I'd pick the team today.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, that's a pretty car.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
fair.
yeah.
But for CCU football, the spring showcase, if you want to find more details about that, you can see that in our story on our website, WMBFnews.com.
Okay.
But the spring showcase starts after CCU baseball. Let's talk about CCU baseball.
Yeah, I hyped this game up yesterday, let me tell you. Top 25 matchup, Wake Forest, not a big fan, but LSU beat them in the College World Series. I was like, haha, Wyatt Langford. Anyway,
I love your little tangents. Before you get to the point, you're like, la, 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 la.
Anyway, so I was like pumped because they were throwing a freshman, which I know that he actually was drafted out of high school, like the 67th pick, and he decided to go to Wake Forest. And I was like, all right, whatever. But I didn't think Wake Forest was going to be as good as they have been in the past. But they haven't won a College World Series since 1955, so Coastal has something on them. But yeah, I was like, yeah, this is going to be great. Top 25. They're throwing Oliver Ellison. We had the same last name. Woo! No, went 2/3 of an inning, and I was like, dang it. But I thought he was going to get his ERA down. Everything was going to be okay. No, went through the bullpen. Bullpen didn't do as well, but I know that with midweek games, you have to usually use your young guys, figure out, what they have, what they, how they're actually going to use the strike zone, different things. And, yeah, but
I saw that in the highlights. It said Ellison. I go, oh,
yeah,
that's Mary Margaret's last name.
I know. Well, Corey was like, that is not your last name. And I was like, listen, I'm not using my married name right now.
It's just once you I've had this conversation with my husband before.
Yeah.
I told him, hey, if I get my PhD before we get married,
yes,
I will be Dr. Bento. I don't care. Like no matter which way you spin it, I earned that degree.
Yeah,
Allison Bento earned that.
Yeah, because I got to start in this industry before I got married.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, that's just the thing to do. And he's like, eh. So.
Yeah. Lucky for me, Elijah and I got married beforehand, so now everyone knows me as Allison Kanuha, a name that most people can't pronounce.
But that's so cool, though.
I know, but Bento was also really cool.
That is cool, too.
But yeah, so CCU, not a great game.
Yeah.
Mercied, or what did you call it earlier?
Run ruled.
Run ruled.
Yeah.
They lost, was it 16-4? No.
16-6.
16-6.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 rules, or 10.
Yeah. The bats weren't flying.
And they didn't. They've had a couple of losses that are kind of questionable.
I will say, whenever they went to Jacksonville, they lost their first game, then they beat Ohio State, and they beat NC State, which was ranked 12th at the time. And I was like, all right, like this is pretty good. And then I know they lost to North Carolina.
But that one went into extra innings.
It was a really good game. So
I can't be mad about that. In extra innings, it's just at that point, it's like you put in a real good effort.
Yeah. So it's like, and then but they did lose to College of Charleston a few weeks ago, and that was very I guess surprising, but I know College of Charleston is a really good team. So, but hey, it's still early in the season. I mean, you have like 50-something games left. So,
they're 12-5 on the season so far.
Yeah,
so it's not like we're talking about them like they haven't won a game. No, they've been winning great games, but they just lost a couple bad ones against ECU.
Yeah.
Against.
But they did
UNC.
clinch the series against ECU, so it wasn't as bad. But I was talking to Coach Schnall yesterday, and he was like, "We really gotta figure out how to actually sweep." Instead of just win the series. But at this point in the season, it is what it is. It's a long season.
You're still learning too with some of the new players. And
yeah.
Like you're saying, playing some of the young players in the middle of the week, and
maybe
Allison wasn't the right choice at the time. If you're listening, I have no.
But I want to say their weekend rotation has been very solid because, except I don't know what was going on. I thought that he was so the Virginia transfer Cullen McKay started opening day, and he's been the Friday night guy, which obviously your Friday night guy is going to be one of your best guys. And so, but he didn't throw him against ECU. He threw a freshman, and they ended up there was 19 strikeouts in that game, and Coastal had struck out that many times. So I was interesting, but I don't know who he's going to start obviously this weekend against Georgia Southern. But the weekend rotation has done really well. Cam Fluke did really well on Saturday, and then Riley Eichhoff. I don't think he's even lost a game. Starting on Sundays, so
yeah. I mean, those are the good games. For
yeah,
us
and the bullpen on the weekends have done really well for because Coach Knoll said that this is their best pitching staff that they have had in a long time. And so I'm just trying to see exactly if they can put it together midweek games instead of just weekend games too. Because I know a lot of people have said midweek games are not as important. But when it comes to, like, say it's the road to Omaha and you have just a few more midweek games, like, this is
Those
a
are
big
the important
deal.
ones.
Say like Clemson was playing Liberty. Like, if you drop one of those, like, closer time, like at, like, you know, closer to Omaha or closer to your like your tournament, then it can make
I knew you were going there.
Can
You
make
just-
you
It's if you're
Plummet.
counting on those midweek games to be losses now, later
Yeah.
on they can come bite you.
yeah.
in
Or
the butt.
like they play Clemson in a few months, and it might not be like, I mean, Clemson's number 10 and it might not be so great. So
Well, we'll see, and we'll talk about it. Trust me, because
Yeah.
now that Mary Margaret's on the show, I can guarantee you Clemson's getting brought up almost as much as Syracuse.
well, I won't be that bad.
Tegan, we love you. We miss you. But like you
But
said,
she knows.
she knows. Oh no,
knows.
it's not like we're not picking on her. She knows she mentions Syracuse every game, like or every
But
game,
also
every
we
episode.
are frenemies because she doesn't like Clemson. I don't like Syracuse. So
It's just different shades of orange people. That's why I wear Kelly green.
yeah.
But you mentioned it. You already talked about it this weekend on Friday. So
Yeah.
episode comes out Friday, which you're watching or you're listening to right now. Looking for something to do tonight, you can head over. Yeah, they're at home.
To the Palace.
To the Palace
Yeah.
and watch CCU take on Georgia Southern.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
But I will say,
weekend
like,
matchup.
I guess I asked him why he didn't throw like any of his, you know, usual starters, and he was like, "We have to be mindful that we have this, you know, this series coming up," and yeah. So I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense."
Rest. That's a long way for him to say rest.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Other weekend games, not at home, on the road, is we have women's softball. It's the only thing. Softball.
Hey, it's okay. There's like adult softball that like plays here, you know.
Yeah,
women,
beer
whatever.
league
Whatever.
softball. We're talking about CCU softball. Also off to a stellar start.
Oh my gosh.
21-4 on the season so far.
Yes. I love softball. I love
do I.
covering softball. I will say, hot take, before I started covering softball religiously, I was like, God, this is so boring. Whatever. No, absolutely love it. But I got my start like with high school softball, and it was the most fun thing I've ever done. And then covering like LSU softball, and like Louisiana softball. It's like, you know, you have these top ranked teams, and it was fun. Like, I love it. And Coastal is very fun to watch. And like Nicolette Picone is their usual starter in the circle, and she's insane. Like, I think she's only lost one game. And right now,
They're playing.
playing.
She says right now, and I'm like, oh, I know that's my cue, but then my brain cleared out.
sorry.
I'm looking it up because CCU right now is playing the Gamecocks.
Yeah, and at last check, but you can check.
I'll check right now.
It was the bottom of the sixth, and Coastal was winning 5-1 against number 9 South Carolina, who had an 18-0 start. They lost a few in between, but yeah, like, that's insane.
So we're taking a look at the score, and the final was
5-3, Coastal upset, baby.
that's an upset,
Rank them.
baby.
No, I will say, I was looking at the rankings, and I was like, why are they not ranked? They're 21-4.
You think a
They're not
ranking's gonna
ranked.
come now from this one?
I would think so. Well, depending on how this weekend goes for everybody else, but
Their number,
I
they,
hope
they
so.
beat a number. I mean, don't get me wrong, because didn't they beat Kentucky at the beginning of the year too?
Yeah,
I mean, they were
yeah.
24th ranked at the time. I
Yeah.
don't know if they're still.
But I don't know. No, they are not ranked anymore. I don't think.
I mean, I would imagine.
But I was like, that's insane. Like, I would rank them. So that's
you heard
my
it
opinion.
here first. In our Palmetto Playbook ranking system, Coastal Carolina, where would you put them? Put them somewhere. Can't put them at number 1 because that's bias.
Well, since they're just they would just be cracking the top 25. Like 24.
Oh, I was gonna say 22.
Oh, okay.
I just feel like just like based on numbers, if they won the rest of the games this weekend,
Yeah,
I would put them at 20.
yeah.
Because like obviously the rankings don't come out just because of this. You have to go to the rest of the week. If they win all the games to the rest of the week, 22.
Yeah, we're gonna have to look. I don't know how long it's been since they have beat a top 10 team. So
Well,
that's insane.
congratulations to.
Yay, go Nicolette. I know she had like
Yeah, she
3
was-
strikeouts at one point. So yeah.
Dang, that's awesome. So if you want to check out a team that just beat the ranked Gamecocks, you can't this weekend because they're on the road.
Yeah, sorry.
But
watch on a streaming service.
Yeah, watch on. I don't know what the streaming service is.
You can watch the 11 o'clock weekend news, and I will tell you.
And you'll show highlights, I'm sure. You'll find some sort of highlights.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. But they will be on the road playing the Ragin' Cajuns.
Yeah.
A team that you also used to cover.
Yeah, I covered them a few times. I definitely covered them a lot in football.
Oh, I totally lied. They do not play the Ragin' Cajuns. They play Troy, but they play the Ragin' Cajuns this season. That's what I was thinking about.
It's okay. It's okay.
But anyways, hold on. Get to your Ragin' Cajun things.
I did cover them a lot. My best friend lives in Lafayette. I know.
How do you say it?
It is how you say it, because people got really upset whenever I was like, I don't even know.
I would say Lafayette.
So I used to say Lafayette. And then one of the sports information directors at Northwestern State was like, I went there and it's Lafayette. And I was like, all right. So it is Lafayette. And yeah, so we used to go there all the time because there wasn't a lot to do in Alexandria. So we would go to Crumble.
Crumble cookie?
Yeah.
Oh, I went through a big phase of eating crumble cookies.
Obsession. Yeah, but covering Louisiana is very cool. I didn't really like call it Louisiana until like people up here started calling it Louisiana. And I'm like, you mean UL? Because there's a whole debacle about, because there's a ULM and there's a UL, and they have the same system, just like like USC Upstate or like USC Beaufort,
like
or
University of Minnesota Duluth.
Yeah. So but ULM is like UL Monroe, and like they're in the Sun Belt too. Mm-hmm. And so it was this whole debacle, and so people used to say ULL. So like University of Louisiana Lafayette, and so now it's a whole thing. So now everybody's like, you know what, Louisiana,
just Louisiana. I feel like that's a flex to just be the school
they got
named
mad at
after
it.
your
ULM,
state.
yeah, is mad about it because they're like, we could be Louisiana.
We're better. Honestly, I'd love to see that unfold.
Yeah.
They play them later this season.
But that would be very interesting because I know they used to be very good. But UL Louisiana, whatever you want to call it. They're playing LSU this weekend, and that's a big rivalry. So I was like, ooh. But if Coastal is ranked, that would be interesting.
Yeah, well, we'll see come that time. But this weekend they play Troy in Alabama.
The only time I've ever been to Troy is driving to Destin, Florida. That's the only time.
I have no idea on a map where it is from here. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's like 6 hours.
Oh, that's actually not bad at all.
6, 7 hours.
I feel like I'm now learning that living on the East Coast, I could have visited a lot more states than I have. Like, you could drive 6 hours and still be in the same state, or like you only cross one state in the Midwest.
Yeah, I will say living, like in South Carolina, like from Easley to Myrtle Beach is like 4.5 hours. But when you're living in Louisiana, like you can get from one side of the state to the other in like 3 hours.
That's wild.
Or like New Orleans was just 3 hours away.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
New Orleans. Well, that's really cool. Sorry, every time someone says it, I always think, my brain says New Orleans, and then
Ooh, they just say Nolans.
No, like, nah. That's what I've been trying. Yeah, check out CCU's great winning streaks. Now they are 22-4.
8 in a row.
8 in a row, baby.
Yeah.
I'm putting him at number 22. Mary Margaret doesn't have as much faith. She's putting him in the 24.
Come on now. If I could, I'd rank them like 3.
3. Who would you put as 2 and 1?
Well, you got Texas, you got Oklahoma.
Okay, fair. All right, valid. Speaking of some rankings, that is my terrible segue for March Madness. Oh, that was actually a beautiful
This is the time
throw.
where I come alive.
Is it? Is it really?
It is.
This is the time that I realize that I have very poor judgment skills. Very poor. Yeah, because we're going to talk about our brackets and setting up brackets, getting ready. We haven't done them yet, obviously, because Selection Sunday is this Sunday at 6 o'clock. And then we'll find out who ends up where and against who. How often, or how many brackets do you make each year?
I only make one bracket, but I spend a lot of time on my bracket. I go through all the stats, and I go through everything, and it takes forever, and then I end up not doing so well. And like my dad does one too, and he's like, I'm not doing one this year. And I'm like, yes, you are. And so we like compare our brackets. He's like, did you pick this upset? And I'm like, no. And he's like, did I pick this upset? He's like, why'd you do that? And I'm like, then usually I do a lot better than my dad.
He really wants to just see the upset.
Yeah. But I'm all for a Cinderella story. But yeah.
Isn't that what NC State was?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, a Cinderella.
Cinderella-esque.
Yeah.
Like a stepsister story.
Oh my gosh.
Your
His name is slipping me.
That's fine.
He played for NC State and everybody loved him last year. God, what's his name?
Asking the wrong girlie.
He used to play at Winthrop and it was like, oh my God, loved him. Anyway, yeah. But
Bracket.
yeah, I love doing my bracket. It takes me forever. It takes me about like 3-4 hours to complete my
Really?
bracket. Yeah, I go through every team. I go through everything. Like who your conference, like, where were you in your conference? How was it? How were you in the actual conference tournament? And then I end up not doing so hot.
See, I always start with like the intent of doing a lot of research and deciding like, oh, I'm gonna pick so and so for this reason. Like, look, these stats say this, blah, blah, blah. And then I realize how many teams you actually have to select, and I lose all will to live. And I'm like, so like at the end, after like I've picked like the first rounds, at the end where I'm like picking the last like 4 matchups, I'm like, left, right, left, right, left, right. I'm like, that's it. That's just, and usually it's those last 4 that do the best. And I'm like, dang, why did I put in all that research when these are the ones that are gonna take me to the end? Yeah. I'm also the person though who won bracket. First of all,
one bracket. I can't do a lot more. It's just like, what?
I don't have the brain capacity to do that many more. But also, I think it's cheating to make more than one bracket.
I know one of my friends, or one of my best friends, she knows nothing about basketball. Nothing.
That's fair.
But she was like, I am in this bracket like thing or like this whole group. It was at school. Yeah. And she was like, I'm going to fill out a bracket. And I was like, okay, like, do you need help? And she was like, no. Did it with mascots, like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And she ended up winning the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tegan did that. And Tegan, you have a chance to refute these claims.
Yeah,
Tegan
go
makes
ahead.
multiple brackets, like
That's okay.
multiple
That's okay.
brackets. She says it's okay. I say it's not. Don't listen. She's much
Well,
kinder
some people do
than
it
me.
because of mascots. Some people do it because of their colors. Or some people, yeah. And sometimes that actually like allows them to win.
Totally get that. But if you're doing like 20 brackets,
That's a lot to keep up with.
not only is it a lot to keep up with, but then I doubt that you have any actual, I mean, I guess everything is honestly up to chance. I shouldn't even say that. But where's the fun in like knowing that you guessed it right when you made 20 different guesses?
Yeah.
That's where it lies for me. Is
But I will say,
make
like,
one bracket, that's it.
The only thing about March Madness I don't like is like, God, you spend so much time on this bracket. It's like, dang it.
Yeah, and then when it's destroyed after the first
Yeah.
round, you're like, oh, well,
Here we
I
are.
got nothing else to live for.
Yeah. That was so annoying. But yeah. But I know whenever Furman upset Virginia 2024, 2023.
That's when I learned that where Furman was.
Yeah, it's like down the street from where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, go Paladins. And nobody else in Louisiana knew what I was talking about. But I was like, yeah. But then they sadly lost in the SoCon championship yesterday. Monday.
This week.
This week.
Anytime I don't know, I just go this week.
Yeah,
It all
this
blends
week
together.
to Wofford, and it was a rivalry game, and it was sad. But I was like, go Paladin. No.
Paladins.
Yeah.
But so we'll talk about our brackets after Selection Sunday.
They might be
Half busted
not
by
great.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the time that we come to, they might be half busted. But we'll have Tegan's bracket as well.
That is true.
We'll get them done, and we'll hopefully have some cool graphics for you to show you to see how terrible
Also,
or good we're
yeah,
doing.
Fill out your women's bracket.
Oh yeah, give them a
Because
shout out.
I know a lot of people don't like to do that. And sometimes, yes, whenever you fill out your bracket, you're more than likely going to be right, because when you're 1 through 10, that's more than likely going to be the ones who continue to stay. So it's not really like a lot of men's basketball teams where that upset really will happen.
Yeah, I feel like in any sport, basketball is the one that you're going to see it in the most.
Yeah.
All right, I'll fill out women's bracket. I'll also fill out a men's bracket. We will bring those brackets to ya.
Yeah. Go UConn.
We now know that she's a UConn fan. We covered that at the beginning, if you weren't listening.
Paige Beckers beat South Carolina not once but twice. Okay. Anyway, I'm done. I digress.
Oh, that's fine. We're going to go from college sports to big league sports now anyways. And I wish Maddie B was here for this, because let me tell you, I have a hot take that may not be a hot take. Maybe a lot of people agree with me, but here it is. I think if you are consistently bad season after season, I've already mentioned this to her, you should be relegated to a different country, or not country, different city, different country, get out of here.
Okay, so say like, you know,
We'll use Carolina as an example, because
yeah.
any team right there right now is not
or
doing
like
so
the
hot.
Jaguars are not good, so you think since they're in Florida they need to go like
North
New York?
Dakota.
Okay.
Let's take you to the mid-cold west, okay? Because, okay, so I wrote these down. We have the Hornets, okay, we're talking about basketball, who are 16-48 right now.
Yeah, the
okay?
Hornets are just not. They're not flying.
Gone. Not flying. I
Buzzing.
like that. Not buzzing. There you go.
There you go.
Gone. We've got the Panthers last season went 5-12. Gone. We've got Charlotte FC. You can stay. You actually went 14-9 last season. Checkers. That's AHL. You can stay.
Charlotte
Knights. Thin ice, because last season was a winning season, but the season before that, terrible.
Okay, but what do you? Okay, I know obviously. Like, what is your take on the Atlanta Braves?
Honestly, this is terrible because I'm gonna sound so like a hypocrite. So I'm a Toronto Blue Jays fan, right? We're consistently terrible. So like when it comes to like,
Okay, so do they need to go south?
but that's where else do you send somebody when you already in the north?
Well,
You could send them actually on the opposite. What's like the hottest city in the like send them to-
Miami. Go take them to Miami.
I was gonna say like Arizona, like the desert, but like don't put them in the fun part of Arizona. Put them in the desert, okay? You do not get to have fun or be by real people until you act like a team.
Oh gosh.
There you go. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Send the teams that live in cold climates to really hot desert places that have no fans, and do the same thing but with hot teams with cold places. Because we're doing relegation style, right? Because international standard says if you like when you like hockey, you know, like the World Juniors or whatever, or Olympics, or you lose consistently, you get relegated to a lower division, right? Obviously, we can't relegate like a lot of NFL teams to lower teams.
I mean, you can say like I know the Knights. I can't remember if they're single A or double A or triple A or whatever
of some
they are.
sort. I can never remember.
I mean, you can get sent down. So
I mean, yeah, but that makes sense because baseball has so many different sort of like affiliates, right?
So you're saying like, you know, the Panthers, like there's nowhere to go.
That's what I'm saying. So instead, we're just sending you to North Dakota. That's it. And you can enjoy it because North Dakota doesn't
You
have
want
any.
them to go in a state that you like?
I mean, I lived there. I know what it's like in the winter.
Okay.
I might like it, but because I was born and bred in it. I want people, because like if you think about it, a lot of players in the NHL have no trade clauses for Winnipeg, Manitoba. Most of the time when they're interviewed, solely because of how cold it is. They're like, no, it's not for me. So let's punish them. This is my punishment.
The whole team.
The whole team.
The whole team.
If you're not acting like a team and you're not getting positive results, get out of here. You don't deserve Charlotte, North Carolina. That's my hot take. I mean, I just think that it must be depressing. And then you know what? As a benefit to fans.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you first.
Go ahead.
I would say it's a benefit to fans. As teams get relegated and move up and down, we'll bring you back a team that we've now bullied into winning.
Well, we'll say, so like with the whole free agency thing that opened up to Wednesday. I know DK Metcalf wanted to go from the Seahawks to somewhere warm. That's what he said. He wanted to go somewhere warm. No, he's in Pittsburgh.
I was going to say, they did not send him somewhere warm.
So I was like, well, here we are. So it was kind of an example.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's an individual. I want the whole team punished. Well, also because, okay, let's think about it, right? South Carolina doesn't have any major league sports. Mm-hmm. And how nice would it be to be like a South Carolinian who's never had a major league football team, and then all of a sudden, someone from the north is like, we're actually relegating the Minnesota Vikings to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because it is sweaty.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to handle it. So I just think that'd be so funny, and we just like accidentally end up with the team.
Well, okay. I understand that.
Yeah. I mean,
I wish we had one.
Logically, it's not there.
But I will
that.
say, Rock Hill, my brother lives in Rock Hill, but
weren't they trying to build a practice?
yeah, they were gonna do a practice facility, or like, and that's the football capital of the world.
What?
And we have nothing. Yeah, they don't have anything.
Is it actually the football capital of the world?
Yeah.
How? On whose standards?
I guess just Rock Hill.
Oh, okay.
Because my brother was like, we're the football capital of this.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, that's valid. Canada, where I'm from, it's the murder capital of Canada. So,
Oh.
but that's like backed by like stats from crime stats.
Oh, okay.
So we don't really have a claim to fame. I mean, Slurpee capital of the world as
Oh,
well, because we
okay.
like to drink cold things in the winter. That's my hot take. If you agree with it, great. If you don't agree with it, also great, because we can have different opinions about that.
Okay.
But other major league sports that we're talking about, and this is like a little asterisk beside it.
Oh.
We're talking about Monday after the Masters.
Oh, okay.
I said Masters so funny there. That was so North Dakotan.
funny.
Monday after the Masters, that celeb list just came out.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, wow. Okay, I did have to look up some of them because I was like,
Oh, 100%.
who are these people?
I knew Ric Flair.
Yeah, that was funny.
Great. I knew Edward McCain, because who else doesn't know
Yeah.
the only two songs
Understand.
and any Edward McCain fan knows. Who else I have? Oh, and then here we're bringing him up again, Mr. Lenora Sellers.
Yeah, but we also said, like, how are these guys really going to do?
Yeah, I
Like,
did, because
I can't see him swinging a golf club.
That's what I was saying. Okay, so they have a lot of these celebrity tournaments, and they bring in a lot of like former athletes. Now I want to say Shannon Sharp. That's not his name.
Sterling.
Sterling Sharp. But you bring in a lot of these former athletes, and granted, the older ones who maybe retired have now picked this up as a hobby. But you're telling me that Lenora Sellers just picked up golf as a hobby and is going to be good at this?
I don't know. They also picked a lot of South Carolina, like former South Carolina players, and I'm like, not that many Clemson on there. What are we doing? Anyway, maybe they won't be good.
Well, I want to know if it's like a natural athleticism thing where it's like you're good at one sport, so it transfers. I mean, I don't know how you would transfer over golf or football skills into golf.
To golf, yeah. I can see baseball, but
Baseball, hockey,
Yeah.
anything with like a stick would make sense, but I would love to see this, so we'll bring that
yeah,
to you.
we shall see what goes on.
But Monday After the Masters, put on by Hootie and the Blowfish,
Yeah.
which I honestly didn't realize they were still a band. I thought it was just Darius Rucker now.
Wagon wheel.
Wagon
Everybody
Wheel.
loves them some Darius Rucker.
Really loves them, some local boy Darius Rucker.
Yeah.
But brings in some cool celebs and
Yeah.
some great pros for Monday after the Masters for a
Masters.
golf tournament. So I posed the question to you. This is kind of
my
similar to the
gosh.
question I posed last episode.
Oh, about
who you would bring,
Who would
because
bring- oh god.
yeah.
Well,
Pick the celebrity that you think would be great.
my all-time favorite celebrity and will be is Justin Bieber. So I'd love to see
Really?
him.
You're
Yeah,
a believer?
I am. Always have been.
That's so cute.
Watched the movie over and over and over and always cried. I cried when I saw him in concert when I was 16.
That's actually valid, honestly. I don't think I've ever cried at a concert.
Oh, I was bawling.
Was it a specific song?
Oh no, I think it's just like seeing him.
Oh,
in
you're just like,
person.
oh my
Yeah,
God!
but he also like we weren't really that close, so I was like, oh
You
my
and Justin
God!
Bieber weren't that close?
No,
oh,
like
you were.
the close, the seats. Yeah, but I had a life-size poster in my room, everything.
Dang. I was a little bit too old for the Belieber phase. Like, I just aged out of it. I still listened to his music because,
Yeah.
I mean, he still had good music for the time.
Mm-hmm.
But no, mine was like NSYNC and Backstreet
Oh
Boys.
yes,
So
understandable.
that's where I sat. So Justin Bieber, Monday After the Masters.
Yeah.
That
I
we're
know he's a-
manifest. Anytime I mention anyone who you'd like to bring, like I mentioned last
I'd
week,
love to see him.
I'm manifesting it.
He got married in Beaufort, so I feel like
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I
No
don't really
offense.
know. I really don't know. But I was like, if you can go to Beaufort, you can come to Myrtle Beach.
I mean, why not?
So
I'm gonna double down and use my answer from last week.
oh, okay, I understand.
Happy Gilmore, aka
Oh my
Adam Sandler.
God, yeah.
I'm just like, here's the thing.
I did not know you were a big Adam Sandler fan.
So, I am and I'm not. Like, obviously, I'm a huge fan in the sense that like I love his movies, but like I'm not like a believer, like
Yeah.
a Sandler, a Sandman fan. No, I really like his '90s movies. Got me through so much. Like, we're talking Wedding Singer, we're talking Billy Madison, we're talking Happy
Water
Gilmore,
Boy.
Water Boy. That one was fantastic. And then obviously like 50 First Dates.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to think of other ones, but like, yeah, like those were all such classics, and he's still in so many like funny ones. Like, where I think it's gold that he uses his influence and like pull to just cast all his friends from his SNL days
Yeah.
in movies. I'm like, this is fantastic, and I didn't realize it until like later on. Like, you see like Mr. Deeds, and you see like secondary characters. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's Rob Schneider or Steve Buscemi or David Spade, like just like
Yeah.
all those like random ones.
I will say,
grown-ups.
I haven't been able to get on the Adam Sandler train. I know it's really bad. Corey is obsessed with him.
Really?
And yes, loves him. I've watched Waterboy a lot. I've watched.
That's not even one of the best ones. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, I watched some of Happy Gilmore. I couldn't. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
You didn't think it was funny? You can say no.
Some
This
parts were.
episode won't air now. We're having a disagreement.
Yeah,
just
I'm so
kidding.
sorry.
Have you ever watched The Wedding Singer?
Yes.
Oh, I love that one. One of my
I've tried
favorites.
50 First Dates. I have, yeah. Like right when she like forgets everything. And then,
Yes, that is
yeah,
exactly
okay.
the plot of 50 First Dates.
Yeah, that's just like I watched it a long time ago. Yeah.
I
But
think
I'm
you
more
should
of
have
like
a marathon of Adam Sandler movies. She's like, please God, no, anything else. Oh, yeah.
I'm more of like a The Last Song and like
Oh, a Nicholas Sparks person.
yeah, or like The Notebook, like Get Me Crying.
Okay, so I will tell you then, one of my all-time favorite movies growing up, and I mean, it would probably still crack the top 5 now of all-time movies, is A Walk to Remember. Which is a
Yeah.
Nicholas Sparks movie.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to cry. And I like,
Yeah,
I
I
sob
understand.
I sob at like sports movie, like Rudy.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Oh,
it's a good one.
I was
The
ugly
Blind
crying.
Side, really good.
The Blind Side's kind of been ruined for me ever since like now people like make jokes about the Tuies.
Yeah.
Tuies.
Or like Maddie B and I were talking about how like we love High School Musical and like I cry in it the second one every single time.
The second one is arguably better than the first.
Yes. And the third one I just cry when they graduate. And then
I've never actually seen the third one.
What?
Carrie, our executive producers, had this conversation with, it was Carrie. Maybe it wasn't Carrie. It was somebody. We had this conversation about how I should be watching it.
So good. And then have you seen Hannah Montana the movie?
Yes.
Oh my
of
god, that's my
course.
favorite movie of all time.
The Hoedown Throwdown, baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
When as it comes to like Disney shows making it into movies, that's probably one of the best. Absolutely.
Or I'd like to see Niall Horan come. I love him.
Oh, I love him so much. I think he's so funny.
I loved One Direction, but it was like also like the time of like a Belieber / like a Directioner type thing, and I was like trying to go like back and forth.
See, again, past my time of like being a
Yeah.
boy band person, but when Niall came out with his own stuff, I really liked
Yeah.
it. Like I thought it was fantastic.
Like Harry Styles like blew up, and I was like,
I mean, they all kind of did, with the exception
yeah, their
of
own thing.
yeah, they all kind of had at least one solo album.
I think
But
so. Yeah.
we have also now derailed the conversation from.
Sorry.
No, it's don't. I think this is hilarious. This is actually the least amount of derailment that we've had in an episode.
Oh, okay.
We've kept on topic pretty well. No food. Oh, we guess we did talk. Did we talked about crumble cookies for like 3 seconds?
Oh,
Not
yeah,
even.
yeah.
No food was discussed. Like this is impressive. We're making great time. Other professional sports. We're talking about the Atlanta Braves. We brought them up. This would have been a great time to segue into that at the time. But if you want to watch some more baseball, we're talking about it this weekend, you can watch the Atlanta Braves on our Palmetto Sports and Entertainment channel this weekend. 14 and
Spring training.
15 and 16, 14 and 15. Saturday and Sunday. There you go. If you want information about how you can tune in to Palmetto Sports and Entertainment Network, you can check that out on our website, WMBFnews.com. And if you're not feeling baseball or you're feeling a little more charitable, you can also check out probably my personal favorite, some hockey this weekend. The Myrtle Beach Fire Department will be playing against the Charlotte Fire Department in Charleston. Tickets are $10 and proceeds go to helping firefighters and their family in need. I was able to talk to Captain John Evans, part of the Myrtle Beach Fire Department, to learn more about that event.
A charity hockey tournament or game going on this weekend in Charleston between the Myrtle Beach Fire Department and Charlotte Fire Department, who are playing just to raise money for firefighter families. In the past, when they've done these games, we've been there to support some of our firefighter families, whether it's a lieutenant who had a baby born prematurely, they needed some help with the hospital bills, or families going through cancer scenarios, those kind of things. So this game is there to kind of raise money for that. Fortunately, we don't have anybody in direct great need right now, but at the same time, you never know when tragedy may strike. So but it's going to be a great game in Charleston at the Carolina Ice Palace at 6:30 p.m. And it's $10 a ticket.
All right, we're wrapping up.
Okay.
We're wrapping up. This is
Okay.
the most important question of the episode. The Pelicans have announced that they have a new sweet treat on their menu for the season. I will bring up a photo of it. It is ice cream.
Ice cream. Okay.
And they're asking people to name it. You and I had this conversation about sweet treats.
Yes.
I love a good sweet treat. Little Ashley,
do
our
I.
producer, knows. Anything that makes me happy can be a
Yeah,
sweet treat.
I didn't realize a sweet treat could be
So many things.
other than food.
Yeah,
So-
well, it really can. And I joked about it, but sweet treats can be anything for me. And one day it was tickets to a concert that I now get to go to at Fenway Park in
Wow.
June.
You get to see the real green monster.
I know, and it's funny. It's like I've never been to. So like, here's the thing. I also I've made it a life's goal to go to all of the Major League Baseball stadiums. So I'm now wondering to myself if that counts. If I saw a
Wait,
concert there,
What made you decide like that particular place?
when I to go to stadiums or to go
Yeah.
to Fenway
Fenway.
for the concert.
Yeah, like
Oh,
were you like, oh my gosh.
because
Or, like,
it was-
what city? Yeah, like why did you choose?
Because it seemed the coolest to be at Fenway Park and watching Hosier, I don't know, don't come for me. But also I have free flight benefits with my husband's work. So I'm just like, well, where can I go for a weekend that I would have fun? And I'm like, well, I've never been to Boston, would love to go to Boston.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
how I decided. But now
Corey's
I'm
a big
wondering,
Red Sox fan, so I was like, oh my god.
no, not a Red Sox fan at all. I hope they have a losing season.
Okay, only because the Greenville Drive is the minor league team in Greenville, and
Oh,
he
no
worked
way.
there, and they have like a mini green monster. That's why I just.
Oh, there you go. No, I just wanted to go because I wanted to see it, but now I feel like I have to go to a game as well, so I can still tick it off my list for going to Major League stadiums.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the ice cream. The
Yes,
real
the
question
ice
at hand. They have this. Here it is. I was showing you a picture. It's got, I think, cookies or M&Ms. It's
Ooh,
blue ice cream.
If it's blue, then
Then
it has to be called the Cookie Monster.
and I think that's what a lot of people were saying that they wanted to name it.
Yeah.
But it's Pelican's blue too, so you have to
That is
make
true,
like a
yeah.
pelican.
Like a-
I vote to name it after the Bat Dog slider.
Okay, I understand that.
Valid. What's
is
your
valid.
favorite sweet treat?
What's my like? I am obsessed with that. I love Brookies. Oh, so good.
Brownie cookies.
Yes, from McAllister's Deli. I could eat that all day long, but I refrained today.
My sweet treat is whatever makes me happy. Sometimes it's shopping online. Sometimes it's going to a concert, and sometimes it's not leaving the house. When it
Different
comes-
sweet treat ideas. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't limit yourself. This is me telling you, don't limit yourself. Make what a sweet treat, whatever makes you feel good, because life's too short. But I'm not
Very
actually, my little confession here, I'm not a sweet treat, like a literal sweet treat person. I don't like
Oh.
sweets. I love savory, love chips. I love,
That's like my mom. My dad. We can eat a whole thing of cookies.
my husband will eat an entire bag of Reese's peanut butter cups
Oh God.
and
wow.
not blink.
Oh
And
yeah,
he's-
I could eat cookies all day long. Brownies, cookies, so bad.
Do you know, this is, again, derailment. Now we're talking about food. Ashley Lister, one of our reporters, she makes
Yes.
the best cookies. You should ask her.
What was it that she made? Oh, salted caramel brownies. I think is what she said. She was like, "Try it, try it, try it." And I was like, "Oh my god!"
I
made
think it's
brownies
hilarious
too.
that you're making fun of her accent when you sound the exact same.
Yeah, that is true.
No,
yeah, and I
she-
was like, "Fine, I'll try it." It was good.
She made like a brownie cookie the other day. Not an actual brookie, but like it was just like,
Oh.
because it's not like combined. It was just
Yeah.
like a dark chocolate cookie. I don't know. It was so
Ooh,
good.
And she didn't give me any.
It was actually months
Wow,
ago. I say it was the other day,
Oh,
but it was
okay.
like months ago.
Oh, okay.
And they ended up on my desk, and I ate them all. Left no crumbs. It was fantastic.
I would too.
But that's a great way to end the episode. Making you hungry. Go grab a bite to eat. Go grab a sweet treat. And we'll see you next episode with our March Madness brackets.